Welcome everybody to today's webinar, Emergency and Mass Notifications, presented by DataVox and Singlewire. My name is Jessica and I will be your moderator today. We are broadcasting this webinar through Cisco WebEx events, and the audio can be heard through your PC or by calling into the phone number listed and with the access code provided in your confirmation email or calendar invite for this event. Today's webinar is being recorded on behalf of DataVox, and participation in this event indicates your consent to being included in that recording. All attendees will receive an email with a link to the completed recording 24 to 48 hours post-event. If you have questions for the presenters at any time during this presentation, you may submit those questions via the Slido feature to the bottom right of your screen. I will turn this on shortly. Simply click the green Slido and the text box will appear. Our presenters will be responding to these questions throughout the presentation via text and will respond verbally at the conclusion of the presentation. We will also be pushing out a few poll questions at the beginning and end of the presentation. When a poll has been activated, it will pop up in the right of your screen where the Slido Q&A will be located. If you see a poll appear, please feel free to submit your answer within the time allotted, and we will share the results at the end of the event. If you are in need of support or have a question not pertaining to today's topic, please utilize the WebEx chat feature and I will be happy to assist you. This feature is separate from the Slido Q&A feature and can be turned on by clicking the chat bubble in the lower center of your screen. Before I hand things over to our presenters today, I would like to quickly announce DataVox's upcoming AV and Physical Security Trade Show on August 25th at our headquarters. Come by for a chance to meet face-to-face with our industry-leading partners in audiovisual, physical security, and building technology. Should you like more in-depth information about DataVox and Singlewire's emergency notification systems that may not be covered in today's webinar, please feel free to schedule a follow-up meeting with us by scanning the QR code on your screen or clicking a link provided in the chat momentarily. Now, without further ado, I would like to start off today's presentation, Emergency and Mass Notifications, by introducing our Vice President of Building Technology Solutions, Mike Bepchek. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jessica. Good morning, everybody. I know this is top of mind for all of us. How do we connect with all of our employees during an event or potential threat? We've got some great content that we're going to share with you guys today. Tom's going to share with us what's possible, do a demo. I want to make sure, can you guys see my screen that I'm sharing? Great. I put together what the program will consist of today. I want to introduce Tom. Tom, good morning, with Singlewire. Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Great. As I was saying, I have a put together agenda for the program. As Jessica mentioned, we'd love to make this interactive. We're going to have some polling questions sent to you guys to make sure we're on track. Would also like to introduce Brett Hodgson with DataVox. Good morning, Brett.
Hey, thank you, Mike. Good morning, everybody.
Brett gets involved with a lot of our mass notification design and requirements for these systems. Works closely with Tom and sends that out to a lot of our clients that we work with on a monthly basis. Going to talk a little bit about DataVox. I know a lot of the clients on the webinar day have worked with us. I'm just going to give a quick overview of DataVox and our capabilities. We use the technology. I wanted to share with the team here how we use the solution and then hand it over to Tom. DataVox, we've been around for 30 years. We serve clients of all sizes and really serve the Texas market. Some of our clients take us out to other areas of the country and countries. We get involved in all vertical markets. A lot of our clients come to us with consulting engagements and design and implementation services. You can see we touch a lot of technologies on the IT and building technology space. Really, that's what's differentiated us in the market over the years. The ability to have that one resource that has the expertise to help with any or all of these technologies. Hurricane season. As a native Houstonian, this is every year, this time of year. I was in a meeting a couple months ago with our business continuity team, and a team member shared with us these pictures of what the devastation that Harvey had on the city. And we used the Singlewire platform before, during, and after this event. We had activated the two-way communication and was able to connect with all of our employees. In fact, we had messaging out to the employees. 1, are you safe? 2, do you need help? And it proved to be very, very valuable to DataVox. I think Tom's going to show a sampling of some of this and the different integration possibilities with the other technologies. I mentioned that we use it, and what's unique about Singlewire are all of the integrations to other building technologies. Security system, PA system, digital signage, fire alarm. In fact, we have a lot of these integrations at our office. In fact, if the fire alarm is activated, we can get an immediate notification to the proper people so they can take some immediate action. I know on the digital signage side, weather alerts, content getting delivered to displays throughout the campus. These are some of the ways that we use it, and I know a lot of our clients use it. This has helped us streamline communications. I know we're able to get messaging to our employees. It could be something like HR messaging about open enrollment deadlines. It could be our safety team getting messages to the field about toolbox topics around health and safety requirements, and also policy changes. Over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of changes in this unique environment that we're in today. I mentioned that you can integrate Singlewire into your access control and security system. You have an intruder on campus, you can initiate a lockdown functionality. Also, if there was a 911 call made, you can identify where that call was initiated to help first responders. Designated groups, you can customize groups. If there's an IT outage, who do we contact? If there's a medical emergency, who do we contact? So you can customize these groups based on the event that's taking place. We use it. I'm part of these teams, and it is an incredible tool for us. These are also some of the use cases. I know Tom's going to expand on a lot of these. I know there's a customer of ours in the LaPorte area where there was a gas leak, and he had no way of communicating with his employees that were coming into the office. And just recently we deployed the Singlewire solution and also rolled that out nationwide to all of the other locations. Tom, you ready?
Absolutely, Mike.
I'm going to hand it off to Tom. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. Okay. Everybody see my screen? Somebody give me a thumbs up, make sure everything's good. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for carving some time out to come and hear our message and the Singlewire story this morning. As Mike said, I'm Tom Hewitt. I'm the Texas Territory Manager for Singlewire. I live up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've been with the company for about 5 years, so I know the product extremely well, the use cases and the customer base very well here in Texas. My agenda is I do not do death by PowerPoint, so don't worry. I've got a few slides. I'm going to step you through a little bit of background about Singlewire, then give you a high-level understanding of our software, dive in a little bit deeper to it, talk about some use cases, but the majority of the time I would like to spend over in our virtual demo room where I can actually demonstrate these technologies. Also, for the sake of time, normally when I do one of these presentations, it's 45 minutes to an hour. You're going to get a snapshot of this. So if there's anybody, if I pique your interest, you'd like to know more, reach out to Mike, Jessica, Brett, or your DataVox account manager, and I'd be happy to schedule a follow-up and more in-depth discussion with you. Who is Singlewire? Good news, folks, we've been around for a long time. We celebrated our 21st birthday back at the end of April. The company originally started as one of Cisco Systems' first ecosystem partner. Our Informacast software delivered live text and audio paging between Cisco's Communication Manager product back then. We've obviously expanded the product significantly since then. Our headquarters is up in Madison, Wisconsin. We're a pure software company. A key point, all development, all support is done out of our headquarters. A lot of software companies outsource that. We don't. We've been around 21 years. We win, consistently a lot of awards, product awards every year. That leads itself to have an install base of over 10,000 customers. But let me focus more on Texas, the Houston market, Houston Community College, Houston Independent School District, Harris County, City of Houston, Chevron are all significant customers. If they're folks from the Dallas area, Dallas County, Tarrant County, Denton County, City of Fort Worth, whole bunch of school districts. We also do very well in Central Texas. City of San Antonio is a big customer, Southwest Research, along with Valero Energy. So our product is well received across all vertical markets. Sadly, as you can imagine, we've had a lot of interest. I had 25 inbound leads yesterday in the K through 12 space. Our product flat out in Texas, the K through 12 space is our top one because of the safety security capabilities that our product brings. So now let me shift over to what is Informacast. Informacast is a multi-channel notification platform. It's a single piece of software that you see on the slide that has the ability to drive out notifications to all of those on-premise devices. A key point, as I said, we're a software company. We don't make hardware. Our job is to glue together disparate technologies like your desk phone into your door control system. That's what Informacast will do from an on-premise perspective. We also send text and audio alerts, pop-up messages out to PCs as well as mobile phones, and you can also then trigger a lockdown from your mobile phone, which I'll show, and also from a PC. The core design premise of our software is it allows our customers to reach 99% of their people within 1 minute. And how do we do that? We leverage that multi-channel notification capability. In this case, with Ms. Smith, a third grade teacher, inside Informacast, if the National Weather Service pushes a tornado warning for the school that she's in, there's a pre-built template that has audio recorded, text pre-built, directions on where to go for safety within the school for a tornado. That then is pushed out. Ms. Smith would receive that notification on her mobile phone, her school district tablet, her PC, her desk phone, and the overhead speaker in the classroom. So we would deliver that notification to 5 different devices. In the event of a critical situation, speed and reach of the trigger notification to employees is critical. What we see, this is one of our standard corporate marketing slides, but folks, this is tailor-made for the Texas marketplace. You take a look over on the right-hand side of the slide. As Mike said a few minutes ago, we have customers using our product to do general paging, push out HR alerts, All of those type of functions, customers use our software for every day. Hopefully, once in a while, you might need to push out a severe weather notification. There's the old Texas saying, you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. And for me, the type of weather, it's a function on what part of the state a customer's in that I'm talking to. Up here in Dallas, it's going to be more tornado-centric. Central Texas, still tornadoes, flash floods. Goes without saying, per Mike's slide, y'all down along the Gulf have to worry about hurricanes and the aftermath of hurricanes. So the ability to proactively trigger these notifications is absolutely critical. Other thing, below that, folks, I call them the heaven forbid situations. I hope you never, if you become a customer, never have to use that capability of our product. But a scary statistic on this, most people think a active shooter situation, most people think those happen in schools. The reality is it's almost 2 to 1 in the commercial workspace over the education space. So again, if you have one of those situations, again, common denominators, speed and reach, our software is architected for 99% of your people to get that notification in 1 minute or less. A little bit more of a dive into the actual architecture. I'm not going to go in depth on this, but think of Informacast, again, it's input-output software. We trigger notifications a couple of ways. Manually, you see those devices. I'm going to show you most of those from the virtual demo room. Panic buttons, desk phones, command center, mobile app. Another key point is from an automated perspective. I've already mentioned the National Weather Service. We also integrate, as Mike said, into door access fire control systems. Not only can we tell those devices to lock down, they can also tell us when a situation has happened, and then we can push a notification out. We see a lot with our customers, as Mike said. One of our newer customers down in LaPorte, chemical spill. We see school districts along the Gulf that their neighbors might be Dow Chemical, might be an Exxon refinery. They put toxic gas sensors out on their school playgrounds to detect a gas leak or to trigger an alert to have kids go back inside the school building. We don't have to worry about earthquakes here in Texas, but if there are any folks joining from the West Coast, that's your severe weather like we have in Texas. Planning for earthquakes, early notification and follow-up notifications critical for you. And lastly, we've got several different ecosystem partners that make gunshot detection systems as well. Most important point on this slide, folks, the way we do this integration to trigger these notifications, none of it is home cooked. We're either doing direct software to software integration or using industry standard protocols. National Weather Service alerts, that's common alerting protocol. We even can trigger on the subject line within an email to push out an alert. Machine-to-machine protocol is how we're going to tie into your physical security systems. So what that gives our customers and what they love about it is investment protection, because this is a standards-based solution that works with a wide variety of devices that support those different protocols. The future-proofness, if you look at manual trigger, if you go up there in wearables, that is a new bubble. This slide was created last week because we just formed a partnership with a company that makes wearable panic buttons. So again, our customers that have been using our product a couple of years, if they now decide they want to deploy a wearable panic button solution, fine. That now comes along as part of the solution now. Conversely, when we send the alert out, like I said, there's a notification template that we will drive out based upon what the situation is. You see the on-premise devices, couple of things I want, and again, I shared those on the other slide, but 2 things I want to highlight. The ability to push audio to two-way radios. Two-way radios are used still very extensively in the energy sector. They're also used a lot in higher ed and K through 12 spaces. So again, realize that we can send audio to your two-way radios. If there are any higher ed customers, we have a ecosystem partnership with Talkaphone. They're the people that make the blue light phones that you see on college campuses. Last point on this, if you have a critical situation, we'll say a tornado has touched down at your refinery complex, we would drive that notification out, the text, audio, the directions on where to evacuate, as well as in that template, you could have our software automatically open up a Microsoft Teams collaboration space, Cisco WebEx Teams collaboration space, a Zoom collaboration space, or if you don't use those solutions, we have an embedded conference bridge within the system that could pull your emergency response team into a conference bridge to manage that situation. Similar to the way we trigger alerts, the way they're delivered, again, are industry standard protocols. And there's a wide variety of these different devices that have led us to have an extremely rich group of ecosystem partners. You see panic buttons, digital signage, Internet of Things type devices. We work with pretty much every UC system on the market now. Also of note, you see our IP speaker vendor or partners as well. Very tight relationships with those folks, also with the zone folks that make IP zone controllers. This is very important to know because, folks, what I have seen since everybody has resumed back to regular workflow coming into the office, a lot of customers, I will get 2 or 3 leads a week from customers that need to rebuild or upgrade their legacy paging environment. If you take a look at this slide, on the voice gateway products and the analog paging adapters, I had a customer tell me yesterday, potential customer, we deployed those systems in some of our schools were deployed in the 70s. Their challenge is when the electronics go out, you can't find them on eBay. So what they're looking to do, customers have a couple of options. They're having to replace this old failing electronics because they're not able to page all of the parts of their hospital, all of the parts of their refinery, all of the parts of their school. And they've got a couple of options. And this is something the DataVox team are experts at stepping you through this. Do you want to do a full upgrade to IP speakers? You can. We see that a lot. We're seeing that a lot with customers. The other option, do you still want to be able to use those analog speakers that probably work, that the actual speaker works fine? It was the electronics that was failing. So you have these 2 options to move away from failing electronics now over to a much more stable solution as far as being able to deliver PA announcements and pages to specific zones within your facility. Folks, that's the slide deck part of this presentation. Like I said, I do not like to do death by PowerPoint. I don't like to be death by PowerPoint, so I won't do it to you. Now let me pull up the virtual demo room, and we'll take a walk over to it and a walk through it. We have 5 of these virtual demo rooms up at our headquarters in Madison. And what we have in here, this should look real familiar to you from the perspective of the on-premise, different types of on-premise devices. We have 2 different IP speakers, one up the top left, one in the pretty much right in the center of the demo room. We'll send audio and text out to those speakers when I trigger some notifications. You see up at the top, you see the Singlewire sign right at the top. Over on the left-hand side, a strobe light. Over on the right-hand side is a siren. Work your way over a little bit more to the right. You see that gray box attached to the red strobe light. That gray box is a contact closure gateway. That is the bridge from the IP world to the machine-to-machine protocol or physical security systems type devices. We will send an alert. If we're telling we need to trigger a lockdown, InformaCast will push and tell that contact closure gateway to tell the head end unit of your door access control system to lock the doors and disable badges. And I'll show you that when I trigger a lockdown. All the way over on the left is a pulsating strobe light. Those are big on factory floors where workers have to wear ear protection. They're also really big, folks, probably no big surprise in the K through 12 space, band rooms, orchestra rooms, cafeterias where there's a lot of ambient noise. Pulsating strobe lights can catch people's attention. Then you see below that digital signage. The message could be pushed there. Hey, tornado warning, take cover. This demo room has multiple different generations of Cisco phones in it. I'm going to zoom in. Again, as I said, we've had a partnership with Cisco for 21 years. This is one of the things that you see that we do with Cisco phones. You can pre-program speed dial buttons, see intruder alert, tornado warning, in a couple different types of ways to send pages. We also can do this with Yealink and Poly phones as well. If you're not a Cisco customer, you still have the capability to be able to pre-program speed dial buttons. Let me go back to full screen. And the last thing I want to talk about, and where I'm going to show and then actually start the scenario, is all the way over on the far left, that red button. That is the physical panic button. And you'll hear Singlewire, and me particularly, spend a lot of time talking about how valuable and critical panic buttons can be used to either push a notification or call for help. You see that there's the physical panic button there. There's also the speed dial button on the Cisco phone could be considered a panic button. We've got a mobile panic button that you can call for help, and I've mentioned the wearable panic button. So where the panic buttons are very effective, and folks, the purpose of this demo is to show you what's possible and how we tie on-premise, PC, and mobile device alerting it together in a single package. We'll say that a receptionist, somebody has come inside, is standing in front of the receptionist, causing a hassle. The receptionist is starting to get scared. The situation starts to escalate. She's afraid if she picked the phone up to call for help, it might push this person over the top. What she could do, most customers, that form factor is one of the biggest ones we have. Quite honestly, folks, so you can see it in the virtual demo room. Most people deploy a physical panic button about the size of a traditional doorbell. So in this case, the receptionist feels threatened and she's going to call for help. She's got two options. Do you want to trigger this alert silently, where the person causing the hassle and ruckus doesn't know that help has been called? Or do you want to scare the crap out of them with a siren and horn going off? Well, that's what you're going to hear on this one. So I'm going to trigger this physical panic button. It's going to zoom in on it. Then you're going to hear the alarms go off. So again, the receptionist just called for help there. The next scenario, again, text was pushed out to that Cisco phone. Next scenario is the same receptionist sees an employee that was terminated a couple of days ago, sees him walking up the front of the building, this person has a look of ill will on their face. She might even notice the person might have a gun. What she can do in this case, remember the pre-programmed speed dial button on the Cisco phone or any phone, she could reach over, touch that button, and lock the building down before that person gets inside. And I'm going to do that now. I'm sorry about that, got the sequence backwards, so let me reload. So let's try this again. I'm going to simulate pushing the speed dial button. on the Cisco phone. And you'll hear message, lockdown has been, we're now under a lockdown situation. So here we go.
Attention, there's an intruder on campus that follows lockdown procedure.
So by pushing that button, folks, we just lock down that building. We lock down a campus, whatever the building or facility is that you need to lock down. Pushing that speed dial button triggered that. Now give me a second, and I'm going to pull over my mobile phone. I'm going to clear this. On my mobile phone, right up here at the top is the Singlewire app. For your information, you have the ability, we see customers deploy this in multiple ways. You can just push SMS text messages out to your employees for alerts, or you can actually download the Informacast app on the phone, on your mobile phone. And in this case, what it will allow you to do is, scenario here, somebody comes back from lunch, they drive back, they're in the parking lot, they look over and they notice a couple of rows over, somebody getting out of a car that was recently terminated, and they're like, then they notice this person's opening up the back of their truck and pulling a gun out. What you can do from the mobile app is I'm going to actually lock the building down. And a key thing here is I'm tunneled into this virtual demo room from my office here in the Dallas area, and my mobile phone's on the AT&T network. Pay particular attention to this red strobe light attached to the contact closure gateway. Pay particular attention just how fast that comes on, as I'm going to now trigger the lockdown.
This is an emergency lockdown alert. Initiate lockdown procedures immediately. The police have been notified and are en route. Wait for the all clear.
So what we did there, again, folks, this case, we pushed out the notification to all of the devices inside the on-premise type devices. What I hadn't showed you before, this is what would have been popped up on everybody's PC. So this was delivered out, this notification was delivered to PCs. So if there's additional details, we're under a lockdown, there's the additional details. But a key point on this, if you have a lockdown situation or a panic situation, you're able to push out in that notification the specific directions that you want people to follow. So employees or teachers don't have to fumble for their badge, for a piece of paper. It's right in front of them, what they're supposed to do. Also included within the software now, if you have a situation like this, we have the ability built into the software to do roll call. So this case, I'm going to respond, hey, I'm safe inside the building. I'm going to select that, push that back, and now I've been marked safe inside the building. You also, in the event, if you have Cisco phones, those of you that use Cisco phones, you can also do roll call from a Cisco phone. If you take a look there at the bottom, the soft key, the one with response, my arm's not long enough to reach up to Madison to push that, but that would you could check in from your desk phone as well. Also on the mobile phone, you have the same capability. You notice the same alert, same text was pushed, same directions what to do. The audio
is an emergency
pushed.
lockdown alert. Initiate lockdown procedures immediately. The police have been notified and are en route.
And I'm going to confirm now this message. And in this case, I'm going to say I need help. And a critical thing on this, when I say I need help, it will push my GPS information back to our command center, or the Safety Security Operations Center. It will also then, if I need help psychologically, it would sure be nice for me to know that, hey, my message was received and help is on the way. So that's what's going to happen. Message will come back, say, sit tight, we're going to help you out. So as this goes on, as people are checking in, we'll have the ability by the end of the summer of actually being able to see people on specific maps. That will be part of Informacast. So it will give you an idea, a logistics and tactical perspective of where people are safe and where people need help. And you can do that from the browser-based system, as well as if you've got people on the ground with their mobile phone, they can pull up the statistics real time as well and probably focus on the people that need help. And in this case, obviously, it was me that needed help. So the situation, is transpiring. Sooner or later, it will be resolved. You have the ability from your mobile phone, again, if the key people are outside the building and there's still people inside, they can record an actual message from their mobile phone, then push it back inside the building. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to record this. Alert, alert, alert. The situation has been resolved. You may now return to your normal desks and offices and resume work. So I recorded that. I'm going to, of course, send it back into the building. You'll hear the audio.
Alert, alert, alert. The situation has been resolved. You may now return to your normal desks and offices and resume work.
So you have that ability. Next thing I want to show you real quick, because I know we're running tight on time, but I mentioned that the personal panic button on my mobile phone. You see these other scenarios, active shooter plan, all clear, those. This I want to show because a lot of our customers, the standard scenarios below there, only a select group of employees, specifically probably around safety, security, or HR, have these types of scenarios on their mobile phone. But what they do, they provide every employee with a panic button on the app. So when I touch this and send it, push down the notification, I'm going to push this panic button, and this, you'll be able to see, this is my neighborhood. So there's my GPS information. So that was pushed out. In this case, if we need to, you can have the capability for directions. So here's the map. Say, okay, Tom, we want you to walk down to the park right down over there. That's where we're going to reunify. That's the reunification point. So you can do that. And if there's other directions, follow up, you have that capability. And then once, I've been helped, situations resolved, you just end the tracking capability. So folks, like I said, this was kind of a fire hose version of what a traditional demo is. Mike, Brett, I know we're real close on time. Anything else you think I should show before we open it up for Q&A?
I think this was great, Tom. To your point, the technology is amazing. The integration possibilities, the different use cases, and customization. I think two questions that you were talking about: legacy equipment, and there's a potential migration plan for customers from that. But could you expand on how a customer can take advantage of their existing investment, implement Singlewire, and integrate what they have today?
Sure. And best way to do that, I'm going to pull one of the slides back up, Mike, because this is what I always mention when I talk to customers. I always recommend taking a crawl, walk, run approach. Where do you want to start? You don't have to boil the ocean. A lot of people, specifically in Texas, specifically in South Texas now in hurricane season, they deploy our software and they start with weather alerting. They might then later add panic buttons in, active shooter capability. So those are great starting use cases. And again, crawl, walk, run. From the actual technology perspective, what you would look at doing is, as I said earlier, keep in mind, we don't make any hardware, but all of those on-premise type devices can integrate into Informacast. So if you have, we'll say, a relatively older but not ancient paging system, we can integrate into that using either one of these IP zone controllers and drive audio out to your existing analog speakers. We can even support this scenario right here, where we would send a unicast stream out to a legacy paging deployment like this. So to be able to integrate what you have from an overhead paging perspective, and also folks, keep in mind, the phone on your desk, that speaker is a speaker. So the audio is played out over that speaker as well. And if it's a critical situation, audio is typically the best way to get that notification out to people. They can hear it. They don't have to go and pull up an SMS message. They don't have to look on their PC, although we can push audio out to PCs as well. So there's this building block approach of allowing you to leverage what you have, and then at some point in time, if you want to upgrade to IP speakers, or you want to add in the ability, if it's a hurricane update or a hurricane evacuation plan, tying that into your Microsoft Teams space or Cisco WebEx Teams space, you can add those capabilities in, because keep in mind, all of this is industry standards based or direct software to software integration, and you, based upon your needs and scenario, you can pick and choose which of those you want to start with, then what's the intermediate step, and 2 years from now, you can rest assured that when newer types of triggering devices come out, you'll still be able to add those types of new products into your system. Did that help, Mike?
Yeah, that was great, Tom. A couple other questions. One of the questions is the mobile app and getting text messages to, getting the text messages alerts. Do you have to download the app to get those alerts? I'm assuming the answer is yes or no. Okay.
Not for text. No, not for text. We can, as long as we obviously would need the phone number built in, into the database, but no. And what you give up in that case is you can't lock the building down if you don't have the app. But HR, I'm on a lot of calls with the HR folks. They say, hey, look, we want our employees to opt in or opt out. We hear that a lot in the higher ed space, and students opt out. They don't want the app on their mobile phone, so we will push, in that case, just an SMS message to them.
Thanks, Tom. I know this is a very, very feature-rich software. What about size of company that this is applicable for?
Mike, I love that question. I absolutely love that question, and I'll frame it up this way. I have got some customers out, some school district customers out in West Texas, that they play six-man football. Anybody on here that played high school football knows six-man football. Those are real small schools. So graduating class might have 20 kids in it, 25 kids. They're using our software. Our software is scaled all the way up to support Houston Community College with 130,000 licenses. The same features that Houston Community College has, our customers out in West Texas playing six-man football still have the same capabilities. So again, size of the company, and again, products obviously has to be priced right to be able to fit all of those different market sizes, and it is.
No, thanks. Tom, I know we've talked about this question before, analog speakers versus IP speakers. What functionality do you not get sticking with the initial legacy systems, as they become end of life, they go toward the IP speakers, but what, if anything, do they give up from a functionality perspective on Informicast?
Great question, Mike. What you're going to give up, and if you look at this diagram or this diagram, you see the zone controller feeding a couple of paging amplifiers, and you can have daisy chain analog speakers off of it. What you give up in the older legacy space, you can't send a specific message to, on site B, the analog speaker on the bottom. That message is going to be delivered to all those speakers that zone controller supports. If you want individual coverage, like if it's a classroom or an office space or a factory floor, at site A, you can deliver a specific message just to the speaker on the top, and the one on the bottom doesn't hear it. So it's that ability, IP speakers or IP endpoint devices, and they're addressable individually. Analog speakers, they're tied to the zone controller or the legacy paging interface. All of those speakers receive the notification. So what you give up is the granularity.
Thanks, Tom. Great feedback. I think maybe another question or two. We work with a lot of companies that have multiple locations, and rolling out at headquarters and then bringing in all those other locations. Typical roadmap?
Oh, another great question there. Informicast has the ability to create within it what we call domains. So if the headquarters is in Houston, we'll say it's an energy company, headquarters is in Houston, they've got operations in South Texas, they've got operations over Louisiana. Those two sites, South Texas and Louisiana, could be set up as their own domain. Critical thing there is the weather in we'll say Corpus Christi could be significantly different than Lake Charles. So Lake Charles can monitor the weather for their environment. They would only lock down their facility if they're integrated into any types of sensors that trigger alarms and alerts. That would stay at the Lake Charles facility. Back at headquarters, when HR wants to push out the last week to sign up for benefits, HR can push that corporate-wide. And if there's 2 additional sites or 100 different sites, HR can send that out. And a good way to visualize this, because our K-12 customers were the ones that really came to us and asked us to speed up that feature development. You think of the typical school district. They need to send messages through the entire school. But in our world, with domains, each elementary school is set up as its own domain. They can ring their own bell schedules. They have their own notifications. But in the event when something needs pushed out, like probably a tornado warning, all of the schools would get that. So you've got that granularity based on the site and the site requirements. You're probably not going to monitor National Weather Service feeds out in California. You're probably going to monitor earthquake detection alerts. So you have that ability to turn on or put the triggering type devices that are relevant for that specific geography.
No, that's fantastic. Thanks for that.
Sure.
I think we're coming to an end. There's a lot of information here in a short amount of time. And Tom, this was great for us to see in a live demo. And to your point, anybody that's interested, we can take it to that next step, make the investment to learn more about anybody's environment, make some suggestions. what those things cost, and we'd love to help. Jessica, I don't have anything else. I didn't see any other questions. Tom, did you want anything to end with?
What I'll end with, Mike, I'll just echo what you said a minute ago, folks. I am happy to give you a one-on-one overview and demonstration based upon your specific needs. Because with a crowd this big, which I'm thrilled so many people joined this discussion, everybody's probably got some different and unique type use cases that I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation with anybody. And I also sincerely thank everybody for their time.
No, this is fantastic, and I would echo that too. Thank you for joining, Tom, and everybody else that took time out of their day to join. Jessica, was there a QR code that you want to bring back up, or if someone wants?
Yes, so let me pull that up here. So thank you all again for attending today's webinar. As a reminder, the recording link for this webinar will be emailed to all attendees 24 to 48 hours post-event. So if you did enjoy today's session, here's that QR code. I also posted the link in the chat. If you'd like to schedule a meeting to learn more, we can definitely get that on the calendar for you guys. And then I just really quick, one last reminder, our AV and physical security trade show, Singlewire, will actually be at this show on August 25th. So if you'd like to come in person to our Houston office to come visit and talk with Tom personally about your mass notification needs, please feel free to come on by. So I'll just leave this up for you guys if you want to scan that QR code. Again, the link is in the chat. And then as always, we would love to hear your feedback on our event. After this webinar has ended, we will send a survey link. If you could please take a moment to fill that out for us. I believe that concludes our session for today. Thank you to Tom and Mike for a great presentation, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.